Hi friends, Sarah here with Faithful Finish Lines. And in this video, I am going to answer 5 reader questions that I have received, and we're going to do this rapid style. So we are going to get you in, get you out, and get you some really helpful information in a short period of time. I have lost over 100 pounds, and I have been maintaining that for about 20 years. I run a website called The Holy Mess and a Christian women's weight loss program called Faithful Finish Lines, together with my business partner, Becky. So just a reminder that none of this is medical advice. Of course, consult your doctor. I'm speaking as someone who is on this journey with you and has been maintaining for a really long time. Now, these are some quick answers to reader questions that we receive often. The best way to get a more in-depth answer, 2 ways really. One is our Faithful Finish Lines membership. Becky and I are regularly part of that group, answering members' questions. We meet with them live on a regular basis in our Facebook group. So the Faithful Finish Lines membership is a great way to get more in-depth help. I do also do some private coaching on a very limited basis, but if that is something that you're interested in, that is available. And then I wanted to invite you to the Fall Weight Loss Challenge, the Holy Mess Fall Weight Loss Challenge, which will take place October 1st through 31st, and enrollment opens on September 16th. With that group, every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a live video, and they're recorded if you can't watch it live, where I teach on a certain topic and I answer questions from members. And lots of women who participated in the summer challenge said that those videos were just the highlight for them. They were so helpful. All right, so let's jump right into this 5 reader questions that I'm going to answer today. The first one is, how do I pre-plan my food with travel? So Tammy N said, I could use some suggestions. My husband and I travel across the country as a result of our ministry. We eat where we're taken by the church we're with or based on where we're staying at the time. I know pre-planning is so important, but how do I do it with our lifestyle? Well, Tammy, I love this question. Maybe you've heard me talk about, I'm a huge fan of pre-planning. I actually sit down the night before and plan what I'm going to eat the next day. And then the next day, I simply follow my plan. I've already put it into my tracker. I personally use Weight Watchers, could be my Fitness Pal, whatever works for you. If you don't know where you're going to be eating, one of the most helpful things is just to create some type of healthy boundary for yourself. So if you're counting calories and you don't know where you're going to go for dinner, you could say, I don't know exactly what I'm going to eat, but I'm going to set aside at least 500 calories for this meal. Or if you're doing Weight Watchers, it might be 10 points. You could also say the type of food you're going to eat. Like maybe you don't know the exact restaurant, but you kind of know you're going to do a sit-down meal. So, okay, I'm going to do some type of grilled chicken and a vegetable and a potato. Or, maybe I'm going to look at the way my plate is arranged and I'm going to plan on a protein, some vegetables, some starch, and a salad. Having some type of boundary will help you a lot instead of just saying, oh, well, not my fault, can't help it. I just gonna have to eat what's available. Having that boundary, or just honestly planning in advance, and then just know that it might change. Just having the plan will help you be more intentional about what you eat. Question number 2 comes from Sarah B. Not me, Sarah B., but a different Sarah B. And she asked, which is better, Weight Watchers or counting calories? Neither. It's really just a matter of personal preference. Weight Watchers, honestly, is just kind of a fancy way of counting calories. They've got some things in the system like 0-point foods, and foods are weighted as more points if they're higher in like sugar and fat, lower if protein and fiber. So they put some things in there to guide you toward healthy eating, but ultimately it's really what works best for you. Another question, is intermittent fasting safe? And this one is also from Sarah B. Not me, but another Sarah B. Consult your doctor. Ultimately, that is a medical question for you and your doctor. But as a general rule, is intermittent fasting safe for most people? Yes. Is it beneficial? There are some very slight benefits that can be found from fasting, but personally, I don't think they override the tendency that many of us have with too much restriction to end up binging or overeating. I personally have a history of binge eating, compulsively overeating. I do not fast. It's much more important for me to have a regular, sustained, ongoing nutritional day throughout the day so that I am not tempted to overeat or binge. So I'm not a big fan of intermittent fasting. I know it's very popular right now. If it works for you, I think that's great, but don't do it like because you think it's going to give you some special magical benefits. It won't. Okay, next question from Sandy L. What can I do about a weight loss plateau? Well, Sandy, first of all, the good news is you're maintaining. So that's good. Most of us, if we're not losing weight, we're gaining weight. I had clothes in all the different sizes because if I wasn't losing, I was regaining. So what you're doing right now is exactly what your body needs to maintain at the weight you're at now. And I know that might not make you very happy, but that's actually really valuable information because this is the exact number of calories that you need to maintain at the weight where you are. So that's really helpful and beneficial. You can always come back to this number. Okay, I know if I eat this amount of calories or this amount of points, I'm going to maintain. I'm not going to lose, but I'm also not going to gain. Having the skill of maintaining is huge because when you do get to your goal weight, you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life. And it is a different skill set to maintain your weight than it is to lose your weight. So give yourself some credit that actually maintaining is really it is a success in its own way. But as far as losing, when you're on a plateau, and I've definitely experienced this, I put a link below to some specific information. You're going to have to do something different. The reality is you'll have to figure out some way to eat fewer calories than what you're eating right now if you want to lose more body fat. The two areas that I see the most from having worked with, thousands of women, the first is you might be overeating by just a little bit on a regular basis. There is some research that shows that all people underestimate how many calories they eat, but those of us who are overweight, it can be by as much as 40%. 40% is a lot. So we might be going into MyFitnessPal and saying, oh, well, I'm eating 1,400 calories today, when the reality is it might be like 17, 18, 1,900 calories. So that could be one way, just overeating a little bit at a time. But what's more likely, what I see more often, is that when women are getting off track, they're drastically underestimating just how much they're getting off track. So go back and look at your food log. If you're keeping a food log, MyFitnessPal, Weight Watchers, whatever, what are the days that you're not tracking? I can almost guarantee that's where your problem issue is. It could be not tracking the day that after your weigh-in. It could be not tracking on the weekends. It could be not tracking all your snacks at night. And the reason I say not tracking is most of us, like when we're tracking, we're being very, very good. And when we're not tracking, it's kind of like all bets are off. So what's going on during those times? What I more see is that women overly restrict, and then when they overeat or binge or go off track, they're really going off by several thousand calories. And then that is going to set back your weight loss progress. So those are the two areas that I would focus on if you are stuck on a plateau. And then number 5, Sandy L also asked, do ketones burn fat? I'm not a medical professional, but from my understanding, no, because ketones are actually a byproduct of the liver when you're in ketosis, which is a result of eating a very low amount of carbs, and so that your body goes into this particular type of state. So ketones themselves aren't really doing anything for you. I have done the keto diet for weight loss. I have a child who has epilepsy who has actually followed keto for epilepsy as it was originally intended to be. So I am quite familiar with the diet. I don't really recommend it for weight loss for most people. I know that it has been popular. It's starting to fall out of popularity. There's nothing magical about ketosis for weight loss. There might be some slight calorie benefit, but it's kind of like intermittent fasting. It's so slight that it's not really going to change anything. The reason why people lose weight on keto is that for some people, it really reduces their appetite. But it is a very restrictive diet. You are not eating much fiber. You are cutting out some vegetables, you're cutting out a lot of or all fruit, whole grains, which are good for you, beans, which are good for you, even protein. It's actually a moderate protein diet and a high fat diet. So for most people, it's just simply not necessary for the amount of restriction that's involved. There are more moderate, healthier, enjoyable ways to lose weight. Okay, those are answers to 5 reader questions, rapid style, and I'm so glad to be here with you and answer your questions. If you have a question you would like to see addressed in a future video, let me know in the comments. I'm Sarah with Faithful Finish Lines. Thanks for joining me.